Good evening. Normally I do these breakdowns in image format, but I figured I'd give video a try and see how it goes. So we're talking about trading some opportunities on the ES futures for July 20th, 2023. Quick macro recap. We could go ad nauseum into macro land, but I just want to set a little context. Since we've been in a short-term bullish cycle, I've still been primarily playing long buy the dip scenarios. Price comes down a little bit to an area of support, look for a valid confirmation and take it long. So that was my thesis going into today. However, we had some earnings reports come out after hours yesterday, notably Tesla and Netflix, and that caused some sell-off due to investor concerns about the performance therein. So we did have a gap down and some consolidation sideways action after hours. What I didn't know, wasn't sure of, was were those weak reports and downside pressure going to translate into the rest of the market. Hindsight, of course, it ended up doing that, but it wasn't really clear what the extent was early on in the morning, so I was still focusing on a buy the dip kind of situation. So let's jump on in and talk about some areas of interest. Since we were seeing some weakness early on, I had identified a little bit of a rally-based rally here from the previous day. This range from 77 down to 70 here. And then if we fly over to the NQ, there's also a bit of consolidation technically at this pivot area here. I'm noting these because they're going to come into play here for the primary setup that I was watching today, just so that we can take that information and head over to Bookmap. So we opened pretty strong with a nice move off the open, and that fizzled out into some pretty heavy consolidation and selling pressure up at the higher end of the range of the day, and initiated a substantial 20-point sell-off. Pretty consistent sell-off here. That led us down into my area of interest that I was just talking about. So here we are into the lows, which was at 45.70. Here's the range that we're talking about, from about 7.7 to 7.0. And this is what I love to see. I love to see large aggressive selling activity at the end of a sell-off. Oftentimes we'll get this sort of activity. It's either shorts jumping in late, it could be longs capitulating, but no matter what it is, after we get this sort of activity and then we see a nice bounce to the upside without any additional progress, that's going to put some of these participants in a bit of hot water. And we can see that illustrated with some of these aggressive buy prints that came out of that area, suggesting that there could be a short squeeze or just aggressive buying, people buying the dip. But no matter what, there's a lot of activity down here, and if people were expecting continuation and not getting it, they are going to have to close those positions because they're in pain. So this is what created an area of opportunity for me. I was waiting for that retracement bounce back into this area to get long and ride it higher. So got pretty close. The risk to reward didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, so I did not enter this higher level. I was hoping for a few points lower, but once again the thesis was these sellers are potentially trapped at the low, and as price neared it, they would look to cut their losses or get out of this trade, essentially fueling a squeeze higher to the upside. And we in fact did get that move. Didn't quite get low enough for me to enter, but hey, that's how it goes. So we did see a nice 15-point move, and if we look back to where this rally ended, this is another great opportunity in hindsight. Had I been had a more of a short focused thesis today, but I did not. The initiation of this large 20-point sell-off was at about 45.90, and we happened to rally up right to that level And that was it for the day. It was gone after that to the downside. Once again, I didn't take this particular setup, but it was a good one if you had a short bias today and were looking for an opportunity to enter there. For the rest of the day, price did return to my area of interest, and I did actually take a position after seeing a little bit of bullish activity on the heat map here and on the tape. However, it didn't materialize. We never were able to break out of this range, so given the conditions of the day, I decided to protect myself after not seeing any progress to the upside and just take a break even there. Those were the bullish opportunities I decided to take for the day. I hope you enjoyed this recap.